I'm going to call the Newman-Crows Unified School District School Board meeting to order. Public communication, closed session items. Per board policy BB 9323, individual speakers may be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board may limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Is there anyone? That was for closed session. I know, but I just want to know if anybody wants to speak. There we go. Okay. Flag salute. Hunt, Miss Williams. May I please have you stand? Zoom. Need more? Colton? Here you go. Right here. Ready to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Report out action taken in closed session. In closed session, a motion was made by Mr. Snodderly and seconded by Mr. Bizarre. The Board of Trustees voted 4-0 with one absent, Mr. Wallace, to reject the claim against Newman-Crows Landing Unified School District identified on the agenda as closed session item number 5. The trustees voted to reject the claim. Vern Snodderly, Tim Bizarre, Rosalie Hurst, Janice Conforti, and Paul Wallace was absent and not able to vote. Public communication, agenda and non-agenda items. Any person wishing to comment on agenda and non-agenda items may do so. Please step to the podium and state your name. It would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes. California law prohibits the school board from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the school board. Per board policy BB 9323, individual speakers may be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board may limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue, and may ask the additional person speak only if they have something new to add. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the board? Okay. May I have the approval of the agenda? A motion?
So moved. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? And we have one absent. Every student succeeding. Mrs. Robles. I'll just go down low because I know you'll need it. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Every Student Succeeding allows sites in our district to highlight students who are making a difference, not only at our school, but in our community. I have the pleasure tonight to introduce Cindy Rocha, a wonderful LVN nurse who LCAT money has funded, yay. She will share a story about a beautiful young lady. Please listen.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. Addison Martins is 8 years old and is currently a 3rd grade student at Herd Barrington Elementary. Addison was born with megacystic microcolon intestinal hyperperistalsis syndrome, MMIHS. It is an extremely rare complication It's an extremely rare disorder that affects the bladder and gastrointestinal system. Kidney complications secondary to bladder complications are also very common. Along with MMIHS, Addison has multiple other diagnoses, multiple medications taken daily, and procedures done every hour and 15 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is normal for Addison. This is Addison's life. You may want to immediately feel empathetic or even saddened for such a young child to have such high medical needs, but please do not. I want to reassure you and share with you the accomplishments she has achieved, her perseverance to push forward, determination to never give up, and all the while her beautiful spirit shining through. If you have never met Addison before, you may soon be asking, when can I meet her? The first time I met Addison was a few days prior to school starting in 2015. This meeting was for Mom to do a training on Addison's procedures, precautions, and what to do for Addison in the event of an emergency. During this meeting, Addie was very shy. Her preferred spot was hiding behind her mom's back, and she would give me an occasional peek with a smile that could light up a room. During this meeting, Mom shared heart-wrenching stories of different times Addison was in such a medical crisis related to surgical complications, illness, or medical procedures that doctors questioned their ability to get her medically back to what her normal health consisted of. Due to these past events and being fearful of any of the same events repeating themselves, parents wanted to make sure I understood the procedures and reasons why the timely procedures were critical to Addison's health, while at the same time meeting Addison's educational goals. Addison's first week of kindergarten, I had asked her what she wished to be when she grew up. Her response was a butterfly. When asked how she made that decision, her answer was, when the butterfly is freed from its cocoon, it spreads its wings and turns into a beautiful, colorful butterfly who can fly high in the sky. The following year, her career choice changed. She was excited to learn about being a dolphin trainer. She talked often about feeding dolphins and swimming with dolphins. The Make-A-Wish Foundation granted Addison and her family a trip to Hawaii to make her wish come true. Watching the excitement in Addison as she shared how her dream had come true was a time to be cherished forever. More recently, her career choice has evolved once again. Her goal is to become a chef. This choice is interesting as due to her medical condition, she receives her nutrition not from any food. Again, when asked how she made this career choice, her answer with no hesitation was, I want to cook good food for other people. Once again, her giving spirit and compassion for others shines brightly. To someone on the outside, even medical personnel, some of the career choices Addison has made seemed almost impossible. To Addison, through good days, rough days, long procedures, hospitalizations, missed time in class due to procedures, nothing is a hindrance to Addison. She perseveres with a positive outlook, leads by example, with a great attitude every day, showing others that all things are possible. School begins at 7:55 every day. Addison's medical procedures began approximately an hour after that first bell rings, which begins the schedule of every 1 hour and 15 minutes, with each procedure lasting approximately 15 minutes. These procedures are pertinent to Addison's health. They cannot be skipped, forgotten, or done at a later time. As Addison's nurse, along with her educational team, including Addison's parents, together we have a plan to meet all of Addison's medical needs, while at the same time, Addison is able to reach her educational goals. From the very beginning of Addison's experience at Barrington, I have always tried to support her learning while we are in procedure. During kindergarten, we would sing ABCs and try to always outcount our previous counting goal. During first and second grade, we worked on addition and subtraction, word problems. We would make up silly scenarios that did not matter, the sillier the better, she would say. After a good laugh, she had the correct answer. During third grade, we had been practicing multiplication facts during procedure time. Reading is another way Addison passes the time during procedure time. Therefore, we keep her favorite books in the room so she always has something good to read. From the first meeting with Addison to today, she no doubt has a yearning to learn new things, to become social with her peers, to not be different from any others. Addison has always, and still to this day, wants nothing more than to be just like everyone else. As a part of Addison's team, we all work together diligently on a daily basis to make this happen for Addison. She perseveres through her rough medical days, not feeling well, long procedure times. The thought of giving up never crosses her mind. At times, it may take a little longer for her to complete an assignment, but giving up is never an option. Along with keeping up with her academics at school, Addie enjoys being active in her community. Addison actively participates in our community's Comforting Kids Foundation Bailey's Legacy Run, which is devoted to helping provide comfort and normalcy in the hospital environment, creating a home away from home atmosphere for infants, children, and their families throughout Northern and Central California. She is also involved with Newman's 4-H and volunteers in the community activities without hesitation. Remember the butterfly that Addison dreamed of becoming one day? Well, we at Barrington are very proud to say, over the past 4 years, we have been able to witness the opening of that cocoon, who is now turned into a beautiful, colorful butterfly, watching her soar to new heights.
And I do want to announce that because butterflies are so important, we also got her a bracelet for every day.
Okay.
That she is loved by her Barrington and of course her loving parents and family that are right here. I also want to announce that not only was she selected by our district office for every student succeeds, but the county office, she was selected as well, so they will be going to a special breakfast while they were honored. Mom and Dad, please stand up. Okay.
I think there's some. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're flowers. And the phone.
There you go. You see Eddie? She's still there?
There you go.
Congratulations on all your hard work, Addie. Yes, and I love your butterflies. Think of you always. Okay. Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
School of the month is Hunt.
Yes, good evening, members of the board, families, community, and staff. I would like to welcome you to the showcase for Hunt Elementary this evening. So, as we get started for the evening, I would like to take a moment to reflect on our NCL USD Strategic Action Plan. Oops, there we are.
There you go.
So basically, in reflection of that strategic action plan, all that we do at Hunt Elementary is in reflection of this common goal, the shared vision that all learners graduate college and career ready, embracing the joy of lifelong learning, and that all are prepared to become responsible global citizens. At Hunt Elementary, students, staff, families, and community unite to achieve the common goal of academic success. It's through rigor, relevance, and relationships that the education at Hunt Elementary provides a learning experience which inspires all students, empowers them to become successful lifelong learners. And one of the ways that we help promote a joy of lifelong learning, as well as help our students to become global citizens and leaders, is through our PBIS character trait program. Oops. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, I can do it. There we go. I sure do. So this evening we have a few exciting presentations lined up just off of our character traits. So first off, I would like to announce the Civility Award winner for Hunt Elementary. And please come up, Emily Castro. So there are many reasons why Emily Castro deserves the Hunt Elementary Civility Award. One good reason is that she is helpful to her classmates, and another reason is that she's polite to her teachers. She shows great manners on a daily basis, and she's always participating in classroom discussions. The most amazing thing about Emily is that she has a contagious love for learning that influences everyone around her, and it's due to this enthusiastic attitude towards education, along with her kindness towards others, that she is the perfect candidate for the Civility Award for Hunt Elementary. So congratulations. And now I would like to have our Hunt students come on up for their character trait writing. So come on up, Hunt students.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's okay. I can share your hand. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so our students have been working really hard, and they have some character trait writings that they've shared. Go ahead, and we're going to hear who their names and what they've written about. Go ahead, Kylie, we'll start with you.
Good evening, my name is Kelly Otaro and I am in second grade at Hunt Elementary. I wrote about friends. I like to be fair by following the rules and playing nicely with others. I hope you like my story. Thank you. Good evening, my name is Angel Ortiz. I am in second grade at Hunt Elementary. I wrote about kindness. Kindness is important because you can make someone happy and you can make someone feel better. I hope you enjoy my letter. Thank you. Good evening, my name is Kimberly Martins. I am in second grade at Hunt. I wrote about responsibility. I am responsible for my education. I follow rules at school and I do my homework. I hope you enjoy what I wrote. Thank you. Good evening, my name is John Corella. I am in Hunt Elementary. I wrote on my character trait and fairness. To me, fairness is important. I can show fairness by spreading things equally and taking turns. To me, fair To be fair is to be kind. Thank you for hearing me share my writing. Good evening. My name is Maria Martinez, and I wrote about being respectful. I can show respect by following the first rules and by being thoughtful of others. It is important to be safe, responsible, respectful, and kind. Thank you. Good evening, my name is Maria Granados, and I am 5th grade from elementary. I wrote 10 ways to be kind, and thank you for letting me share my writing. Good evening, my name is Kevin Rodriguez, and I'm in 5th grade from elementary. Today I will present my writing on kindness. To me, kindness means being thoughtful towards other feelings. To be kind is to be friendly to those around you. Thank you for letting me share my writing with you. Good evening, my name is Colton Servo. I'm in 5th grade and I go to school at Hometown Elementary. Today I'm going to be sharing this speech about kindness. To me, kindness truly means to do the right thing and to do what you can to help those in need. Thank you and have a good night.
So let's give one more hand to these students who worked so hard on their little mini speeches and their writing. Thank you, boys and girls. And if you'd like to hear the entire story where we hear more about these character trait writings, you're more than welcome to invite us at our Writers Workshop Math and Literacy Night, which comes up, we have the next one on February 27th. And then we have another one coming up on May 1st. So it's a great time for families to work together and for kids to share some of the writing and some of the projects they've been working on. So we're going to take a look at the next slide. At Hunt Elementary, students and staff have been working hard across all disciplines, teaching the Common Core standards, the ELD standards, through all programs. And one of our curriculum and instructional focuses is on academic discussion. In order to promote oral language development and the use of academic discourse, our students are given opportunities to collaborate and to discuss their learning. So in the above photo here, we have Isaac and Evangeline in the first one to the left, and they are engaging in mathematical discourse. And they're discussing number bonds using the Eureka Math program. And in the photo to the right, you'll see two students. We have Abriel, Rosa, and Samantha Casillas. And they are busy engaging in conversation on text-to-film connections. And we're using the Benchmark English Language Arts program. And next we'll see a video of students who are collaborating on the setting for a story. So basically what's going on, you see the discussion, discussing what the setting, characters. And so that's just a little sampling of academic discussion, what that looks like, to see students collaborating and negotiating. So they're basically working on the script together and deciding, well, what should the setting be? Who should the characters be? And in the next picture here, so one of our other focuses is on student engagement. We've spent quite a significant amount of time on this area because it's a broad area. So basically, in the first photo here, you have students who are sharing their writing. And in the next photo, we see students engaged in small group instruction during math. And we have another, in the next video here, we have another picture of student engagement done through a video production that two of our fifth graders put together.
Jogging to live at the bottom of the hill. At the top of the hill is a well. I want to play. I want to play too. Jack and Jill run. Jack and Jill jump. I am hot. I am hot too. Get water. Go up the hill. Go to the well. Jack and Jill go up the hill. They go to the well. They bring a pail for water. Good water. Now we can play some more. Jack and Jill run. Jack and Jill jump. Oh no, Jack fell down. Ow, my head! Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Yeah, we can play some more. We can roll. Jack goes rolling and tumbling down the hill. Rolling is fun. We roll too. Jill goes tumbling after Jack. Rolling is fun. Rolling. Here comes the pail.
And we may have some of those students present there from Mrs. Guillen's first grade. That was Alexa Nividio, Angel, Nathan, and Robert Soto, and Riley Hatch. And the video was produced by Genesis Nunez and Robert Corella from Mrs. Benavidez's 5th grade class. So they worked really hard on that production. Now, throughout our weeks, students use a variety of digital platforms such as Stride, Lexia, and Footsteps to Brilliance. There's several different platforms. We have a video here, just a fun little video, which...
What's on your challenge, boys and girls? 25 million words on what? Go Tigers!
So as you can see, they were very, very excited to work towards that 25 million word challenge by March 1st, as shown by that video. I think I recorded it about 2 times, and we're so excited. So as we move into February, our site is really excited about the days ahead. Our LCAP site goals of increased achievement in literacy and math, our ongoing professional development, and collaboration in PLCs have continued to push the expectations for our students, really encouraging them to go above and beyond in all that they do. Our Student of the Month assemblies, our PTO nights, our school site council, English language advisory council meetings, we've had high attendance in all these areas. Back in December, we had an accelerated leader movie night, and that was on a Friday. We had 160 attendees, which it was difficult to count them. We had to count them on the way out. It was so packed in that Hunt gym. The following week, we had 150 attendees at our Writers Workshop Math and Literacy Night. So that just shows that it makes me think of our LCAP site goal parent engagement, that it takes a community to community and that community and school connection. So at Hunt Elementary, we do have a passion for kids, for learning and for doing what we can do to lead to educational excellence. Which on that last slide, we recognize that just in this class art here, if you walk by that real quick, you're just going to think, oh, those are handprints, cute, really cute. But if you pause and you think, well, wait a minute, and you look at what it says, that we are each unique and beautiful, but that together we are a masterpiece. That at Hunt Elementary, we know that as we work through relationships, that's where we build relevance, and that is how we go to River. And we find determination and passion to make the good great. And together, that's how we know we make the difference. So thank you for allowing our community and students the opportunity to share tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Now, I know a lot of the students probably have to go home because they might have homework or they're getting tired. So if there's anyone that wishes to leave, we do a lot of other business things. Thank you very much.
The meeting isn't scintillating yet.
No.
But it's...
No, it'll be scintillating.
Yes.
It's pertinent, but maybe not for all of our students. Have a good week, and thank you.
If you'd like to move up instead of sitting in the back, we have lots of seats. You want to move up? Do you want to move up? There's blank seats.
You don't have any. I know, sure, but that line doesn't work.
Mine is working.
But you have to do that. You might come rushing in.
Stephen, would you like to give your report, Mr. Please? Yes. So wait, I think they're moving up.
Nobody wants to sit in the front pew.
Thank you. Blank seats are kind of hard to look at. There we go. Okay.
OHS has officially, I'm speaking too closely, has officially been chosen to be a model school for 2019. This summer, from June 23rd to 26th, OHS will send a group of staff members to Washington, D.C. to present the significant things they have been doing to maintain our school. The OHS 2019 Senior Project has officially been announced. This year's task is for the seniors to conduct a 3-part project that contains an online personal portfolio, as well as an oral presentation and a job interview. Girls basketball plays second in league and will be attending playoffs tomorrow to hopefully make it to the championship game. Student Council is currently having their second tri-tip sale, and the pickup date will be on February 21st. TSCA applications are now open for all seniors to apply and to be able to seek out opportunities to collect scholarship money before they head off to college and even during college through the program. The Movies Play took stage for the first time last Friday with a sold-out crowd, and tickets for this weekend's performance are selling fast. This past weekend, FFA's own Doreen Wright has been slated for the 2019-2020 Central Region President. Tomorrow, the Stanislaus County College Awareness Night will be taking place in the OHS gym from 6 to 8 p.m. Fast Club peer training for tobacco prevention will begin this Friday, February 15th, in order to prepare the club members for the presentation at Yellow Middle School.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Mendoza, I believe we're going to hear about the governor's budget release.
I went to a workshop a couple of weeks ago to get an overview, and I just want to highlight a couple of things from the upcoming budget. This is the first budget that Governor Newsom has presented, and it's got some, although it was very similar in ideology as Governor Brown was, he has differentiated himself a little bit. Right now, he inherited a really, really good economic climate. And so the LA Times says it can't get much better for him now, but it's very certain that it will get worse at some point during his term. We don't know exactly when, but we have a little bit of a general idea. So what we're looking at, there will be some budget surpluses at the end of this fiscal year and carrying over into next fiscal year, which when you have a budget surplus at the end of one year, it turns into one-time money the following year. He is trying to be conservative, but he's also trying to address some of his own program agenda items, really focusing on early childhood education. That's really one of his main focus areas. He's also put in some proposals for funding CalSTRS initiatives outside of Prop 98, which is a big win for schools, because otherwise, if it becomes part of the Prop 98 calculation, then it takes away from other things. So, in looking at what makes up the state budget, even though we're in a really positive economic climate, the budget is primarily based on personal income tax, which is great when you have low unemployment. But to base a whole state economy on personal income tax is a little bit risky, because when unemployment starts to rise, and that gets eaten into. So even though people always think, if you tax other luxury items, that makes up a very small percentage of the overall budget. So even imposing large taxes on those kinds of items don't make a large dent. So the overview of next year's budget, there are a lot of proposals in play right now. We won't really know until May how those are going to shake out. One thing that is probably going to land fairly close to where we proposed is about a 3.46% cost of living adjustment, because there seems to be the money to fund that. There are a lot of other initiatives, but we won't know until May what's going to stick. One area I wanted to kind of point out tonight is the talk about the CalSTRS relief. So it's two parts. The $700 million that's not Prop 98, that's going to be applied over 2 years, basically will let us not increase the employer rate as quickly as we would have been. So it lets us slow down. Right now, it's about a little over 16.25%. Next year, it was supposed to be 18%, and they're looking at it being only 17%. It's still double of what we were paying a few years ago. It's just kind of slowing the rate at which that's increasing. So some people are not quite understanding this concept, and they're thinking that it's revenue coming to the district. It's not revenue coming in. It's a reduction of the increase that we would have been paying. The second part of it is prepaying the unfunded liability that the state has. So that's what also is helping to slow down the growth. So this is really going to be an ongoing 0.5% decrease. And so we're hoping that this will have some long-term ramifications. So the contribution rates are still rising. People have asked why CalPERS is not on the table. CalPERS is not only for schools. So it was a little bit difficult to bring this into the Prop 98 conversation, because CalPERS covers all of the public safety employees and all public employees in California, not just school employees. So it's not really applied directly, but it's kind of an indirect. The CalPERS rates are not expected to decrease from where they were originally projected, but the CalSTRS looks like it's going to have an ongoing 0.5% savings, which just means that the rate is not increasing as quickly as it would have. There is some talk about special education, which is really early at this point. We're not sure what that's going to look like. If it's going to be general special ed funding, which applies to all students, or if it's going to be targeted to early intervention, or how that's going to work. So there's a lot of discussion. It's very early in the process for this discussion. Does anybody have any questions?
How are people that you know that are in the same types of position feel about this budget going? Positive?
Well, positive. I mean, any kind of relief with STRS is a good thing.
Yeah.
Although we've been cautioned not to include it in the projections going forward. So next month, when we bring back second interim, those will not be part of the projections, because it's more conservative approach
to leave it out, because we can always subtract it. We can always take out the savings later on, but it's hard to add it back in. We're fortunate we're still looking at our own enrollment, our own ADA projections, and we're looking at our unduplicated numbers and really looking at where those are. So because of where the LCFF is funded, there's not a lot of new money. It's just what's going to be the cost of living increase. And so we're fortunate to have projecting some enrollment growth to keep us a little bit ahead of the curve.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Thank you, Mrs. Mendoza.
She also has actually
The nutrition
next item.
service.
Okay, so after our last board meeting, I met with our regional vice president of Sodexo to kind of talk about our concerns and look at ways we could possibly come together. Because we've had a relationship with them for the last 13 years, we wanted to really see if there was anything we could do before we walked away from our contract. So we reopened the dialogue with them to address the major concerns of more creative control and financial sustainability over the next coming years. So both of us worked the numbers on both sides, and we looked at a lot of different opportunities, and we've come back with a proposal restructuring some of the areas of the contract next year. These areas will ensure financial liability for 2019-2020, and we'll go through this process annually to allow the district to keep evaluating as we go along. The original contract was a one-year contract that had 4 one-year extensions. So we're in 18-19 was the first renewal. So we have 3 more opportunities to renew if we choose to. So every year we'll look at the different opportunities and make sure that they pencil out year after year. So we will be looking at developing a contract extension to see if we can come to an agreement on retaining services for next year. Okay. Any questions?
I'm confused. We were bound by contract for 3 more years, or?
No, one year at a time.
What's 1 year at a time?
Yeah, you have to go out for proposal every 5. You pass the contract first time, and then you can renew.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mendoza. Yellow Middle School.
Okay, good evening. I have just a couple of points I'd like to share some information on. The first one being that YOLO has been engaging in some discussion about our master schedule. The model we're kind of looking at is like what Orstenda has, but with some tweaks that kind of fit our needs. But essentially a block schedule, a little shorter blocks. And we've had about 3 different discussions. Orstenda has come over and had discussions with our staff and shared some information. And so through that process, kind of addressing concerns. And tomorrow we'll be doing an advisory vote with our staff just to get an idea of kind of where we are in terms of addressing those concerns and being able to move forward with the planning part of the master schedule change. The other piece was in talking to Mr. Wallace and some community concerns regarding backpacks for YOLO students. We have found that, especially now with going one-to-one with Chromebooks, that really students aren't being asked to carry textbooks, the traditional textbooks. Where we are right now, where we have traditional textbooks, we have a class set, and we have a set that could go home with a student and they could keep it at home. As we move to digital curriculum, and we're piloting in some cases, we're really referencing those classrooms that are still the adopted materials as a supplemental, because we're in the middle of a pilot. So for example, with science. With StudySync, we've adopted StudySync, so we have no textbooks. So in history, we're also being prepared to look at history, which is digital curriculum. Where I found students' backpacks are, you kind of question what do you have in here? It's really been more related to students' personal items. One example, a student had 2 copies of if you're a Harry Potter fan, the Harry Potter type books. Had 2 books like that, but they were for personal reading. Other things are their school lunch. If they carry their own lunch, they have a small lunch bag in there. If they're athletes, they have athletic gear of just other student items, but not necessarily required for their classes. So we kind of handle those case by case, but for the most part, students, they don't have the traditional textbooks at all that they're being required to carry back and forth.
If they have athletic gear, like if they play baseball or that, like they're carrying the bat around?
No, well, we don't have a baseball team, so there shouldn't be any students on campus with that. No, I was just wondering if they had to carry it. The students have access to a locker in PE. It is a small locker, but for the athletic teams that we do have, it would be adequate for their basically uniform, any related gear, for basketball, tennis, shoes. But they don't have the big athletic lockers that some of us remember from our days. But they do have a PE locker they're assigned. It's their lock. They can store their personal items in there, and then the rest of them carry around like little secondary sport bags, and they'll carry those outside of their backpack.
Okay.
I don't remember, was there a concern that they're carrying too much? Is that
There was a concern from some community that, I'm concerned about my students carrying around the weight of their backpack. It's come up kind of just here and there. We've always kind of addressed it case by case. Frequently, and even talking to a student, sometimes I notice that, wow, your backpack looks heavy. What do you have in there? And those are just kind of some of the things we've come across in those situations.
When you want to change, possibility of changing to the block schedule, is that for the 7th and 8th graders and easing the 6th graders into it?
No, the block schedule would be across the board. Our 6th grade looks a little different structurally because those are multiple subject teachers, so they're structured a little bit differently. They're paired in teams, but they would still have a block schedule.
President Conforti, I just want to just add that, overwhelmingly, the teachers at Ora Stemba want to continue on with their block schedule, and it sounds like that's similar at YOLO as well. We'll find out tomorrow after kind of a little advisory vote. But I think that one of the things that's really important to note is by having similar master schedules or block schedules, that allows for vertical articulation between the 2 schools, which is not able to happen at this point. And I think that both sides understand that there's some changes that need to be made. I think we have kind of agreed that we'd like to do this through the negotiation process if possible, and let's kind of put it in the language. So we're going to be working with that as well.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I think the transition is easier that way. The low-performing student. Mrs. Betancourt. Good evening. The state has offered districts an opportunity to participate in a block grant for low-performing students, and so we're going to take advantage of that opportunity. It's a very targeted grant. It's for students who are performing at the lowest levels on math and ELA SBAC, so our state test, and who also are not really covered under LCFF funding, so those unduplicated students. So for example, these students are not English learners, they are not low socioeconomic, they are not foster youth, and they are not special education. So we're looking at a very targeted group of students, and we're receiving about $165,000 over the next, it'll start from next year and the year after, and the sites will be able to develop a plan to target how they might meet their students' needs at their site. So each site will be a little bit different. And we'll be working with the principals this year on helping them develop those plans. So we're asking that you just, we're recommending that you approve our participation in this block grant.
How many students?
Based on the most current data, and we get to use the most current data every year, this is 76 students. So it's very, very targeted. The sites can be very creative about how they support these kids. Yeah. First reading of AR and BP 0420, school site councils, and AR and BP 0.
Wait, excuse me,
Yes.
did you just say we had to approve it?
It's on the action.
It's in the action.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Read my agenda, right?
And I did that. AR and BP 0450, development and review of comprehensive school safety plan. BP and AR 4060, goals and actions addressing state and local priorities. And AR 1220, committee charge. And we will be getting that to read. It's probably in our folder. Okay. Attendance awards. Oh, we have it, Mr. Garcia.
Mr. Gonzalez will be giving those from now on.
That's different. It's hard to get. We have to change. A new person.
I might not speak as much as Mr. Smith.
Certainly not.
So, we'll get to it. So for the staff attendance, for January, and from what I understand, it's a increase, correct, from the previous month? So, for the best staff attendance increase is, Barrington. And a little side note, when I went over there, they didn't want to give these to me. It was just, I was like, what are you doing? I thought it was funny, the ladies in the front office.
Ownership.
And for best improvement on ADA, and for lowest chronic absenteeism goes to the same site, Von Renner. So you get one.
Be careful the apples.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Okay, consent calendar. The consent calendar items are routine in nature and usually do not require board discussion. Individual items may be removed by board members and presented for discussion and separate action. The consent calendar will be adopted by a roll call vote.
I would move approval of the consent calendar.
A second, please.
I'll second it.
Mr. Bazar?
Aye.
Mrs. Hurst? Aye. Mr. Snodderly?
Aye.
Mrs. Conforti votes aye, and Mr. Wallace is absent. Select CSBA Delegate Assembly. Nominations. I believe, if I'm correct, Mr. Wallace?
There are five candidates, two of which are incumbents. Mr. Wallace is one of them. Also, Cindy Lindsay is an incumbent as well. And then there's three new candidates: Kim Malik from Turlock, Ray Prock from Denair, and John Walker from Modesto City Schools. So you get to vote for two.
And Mr. Wallace is
Mr. Wallace is one.
Yes, he
Yes.
did.
He applied.
Do we need a motion, or what do you want?
Would you read the other names, Mr. Philpott, please?
Cindy Lindsay, who is an incumbent like Mr. Wallace.
Right.
Kim Malik from Turlock, Ray Prock from Denair, and John Walker from Modesto City Schools.
I move that we vote for the incumbents.
I do too, and I second that, yes.
Okay, so. And. Okay, Mr. Bazar?
Aye.
Mrs. Hurst?
Aye.
Mr. Snodderly?
Aye.
I vote aye, and Mr. Wallace is absent. Approve low-performing students block grant. That is what we just heard from Mrs. Betancourt. May I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the low-performing student block grant.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And Mr. Wallace is absent. Approve 2019-2020 school calendar. Do we have a look at the one, or?
I saw it.
It is in the back. I'm going to tell you, actually, there's version 1 and version 2, and there's not much of a difference. We're recommending version 1, which is actually pretty much like this year, which is pretty much like the year before. And so we did a survey, more than a majority, like version, almost like a super majority basically, agreed that version 1 was the most acceptable. And I think people, actually, the feedback before the committee even got together was that, it's not broken, why are we trying to fix it? So really the only difference was actually a staff development day, and this one, again, mirrors more like this current year. So we would recommend that you approve version 1.
And make a motion that we approve 2019-2020 school calendar.
Second? Version 1, correct?
Yes, version 1.
Okay, did you?
I second it.
Okay.
I think they both started on the 13th.
Yeah, it looked like that, and there wasn't much of a difference. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And Mr. Wallace is absent. Approve E-rate year 22, 6 sites wireless network upgrade.
So I don't know if Ms. Mendoza wants to say anything about this. We had 3 bids that came in. We do this every once in a while. We always go with the lowest bid, considering whether or not they actually met all the requirements of the bid. And the one we're recommending, AMS, met that and was the lowest bid. Do you want to add anything to that? This is the committee that we've.
No, this is for wireless access points and switches to help with the network upgrade.
Okay. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second, please.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And Mr. Wallace is absent. Okay. Future agenda items. We have school month, which will be Benita. Approve non-elected of employees. Approve second interim budget report and classified layoff resolution, which is something we are required by law. And Mr. Philpott.
So I just want to say a couple quick things, because I know that Mr. Bazar has to leave pretty quick. But Paul Laws texted me earlier, and his wife accidentally drove into a canal. She's okay. I'm not sure which truck is, but he's been trying to pull around, so that's why he's not here. So he sends his regrets and appreciates I'm sure he appreciates your nomination to the delegate assembly. I wanted to share with you this. I've been reporting out on the Footsteps to Brilliance. We reset it from 8 million to 16 million. Recently reset it to 25 million, and we are at 23,500,000 right now.
Oh my goodness.
And I think the thing that's important to note about that as well, it's not only that we are really doing well with the number of awards, but that's also over a 77% comprehension rate, and that's pretty outstanding. So I want to also just mention that there are several of us that are going to be attending a cohort, part of a innovative and transformation cohort. We're part of one of 25 districts who were selected for this. We're going down to LA tomorrow. Hopefully Grapevine is opening again. That includes our President Conforti, Principal Pruitt, and Mrs. Betancourt, and also Anita Merikin, who was here earlier but is not here. It's just a little team. One of the focuses we have is, of course, our strategic action plan, but we really narrowed it down on a focus of academic discourse. So it was encouraging seeing tonight the presentation that was made at Hunt related to academic discourse. Every site is really focusing on that, and so I think what you're going to find is kids speaking academic language and also presenting themselves in a professional manner. So, thank you.
It's a big difference from when I think all of us went to school and we sat there and listened and regurgitated back. Mr. Bazar, is there anything you'd like to say? Because I know you need to leave.
No, nothing to offer tonight. I'll just beg everybody, apologize to everybody. I do have to get to another event. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Drive safe.
All right.
Okay, Mrs. Hurst? Okay, I just want to start off by congratulating the student who won the civility award, because I think that's so great that we give that out, and I still love the fact that we start off honoring the students, okay? And the second one would be young Addie. She was kind of part of the fire family, and so I was there whenever her birth first took place. And so watching her grow into this little butterfly, I had to sit behind my butterfly because I started crying. So it was very apropos that we had that. Second of all, got to watch Newsies. Hardy. So good. Neil was great. Starlina, service was great. Okay, and the play was excellent. And I am so proud of that, okay? Another thing I got to do was to go to, for Nancy Caton, to Bonita and judge historical posters. And that was an absolutely wonderful experience too. I mean, I was so proud of the youngsters and what they did, and it was kind of hard trying to focus down to get the ones that would kind of go off to the next level. But it was absolutely great, so thank you very much. Mr. Snatterly.
Yeah, when I'm sitting here, instead of reading my agenda, I was reading the. I'm trying to show her things, but I'm pretty impressed with all the writing the kids did, and the neatness and the grammar and cursive. You know, I mean, that's kind of a dying art. It just did pretty good, so good job on that. I was able to attend the high school English language learner thing going on. I was 125 kids, so lots of parents. That was well done. You guys did great. And Matt, with all the rain, the school grounds and the school campuses, the ones that have been around, look great. So your crew's still doing a good job. And I asked you how the roofs are holding up, and sounds like so far so good. 19 and a half years left on the water. Yeah. You guys continue to do the good job. I really appreciate it. It's doing some heroes over here too as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Just going to the reclassifications is amazing to see our students, how much they've grown with your help and everything. I kept quite busy. I think I was out 3 out of 4 nights of the week. Newsies, a great dinner, and an amazing cast. I mean, we need to be so proud of our students. They just are amazing. And thank you, Hardy, very much for all your hard work. Mrs. Robles, I was at Heard Barrington, and I never saw so much excitement with children making goop and playing with blubber, and the parents sitting there wide-eyed. They were learning as much as the students, but I can remember sitting for years there and regurgitating back. And I remember some things, but not as much. But I know every one of those stations, those children are going to remember like they do in their classroom, because it's not just sitting there and reading the book and answering questions. And I also was at Bonita, and I tend to be the history buff. I mean, I love history. Can't get me out of them. And the students' work on like the Salem Witch Trial and on the Titanic, and the posters that they put together, and talking about Black history, and the young Dr. Del Fuego, designed the incubator, and she was the first woman to go to Harvard. Their insight into picking something that had a tragedy and made it into a success, and that's what I see all the time. Children overcoming a hurdle and just achieving and being so excited. So thank you for all your work. Okay. And Mr. Wallace is not here, so I would like to adjourn. Oh, I need a motion.
No.
No motion, I can just adjourn. And it's 7:04. Thank you.